This is my 18th beating in a row. Is I would call for blood. Bakugo and his goons aren't taking it easy on me, are they? Is I would think to myself, this world is horrible. Correct people are treated like shit. I get my head bashed in for something that I can't control. What type of sense does that make? I'd have a broken shoulder. My fingers would be mangled. My left kneecap would be busted up. And my right ankle would be, well, fucked up as well. I would try to crawl home, but I'd be in way too much agony to even move. So I would stay on the school campus until somebody came, eventually falling asleep. Fast forward the next day. So, you're still here, huh? You didn't get up. That's a bitch move, as Bakugo kicked me directly in my face. As a few teeth would fly out. As Izuku would say, or not Izuku, Bakugo would say, I bet your mommy's worried about you. As he would continue stomping my head in. Oh wait, that's right. She's too sick to worry about you, isn't she? As he would continue to kick and beat me like I was complete garbage. As I'd say, don't you talk about my mother, you bitch. As I would spit up at Bakugo. As he wouldn't take this too kindly. His hands, they would start to form small explosions at first. But then they would turn big. Huge, in fact. As he would put one up to my face. And he'd blast me away. My body would go flying through the air. I'd slam hard on the concrete, hitting my head and getting knocked out. As I'd be asleep or knocked out, I could see two red eyes, two devilish red eyes, glaring at me. You're not ready, kid. You're not ready for this power. You're still just weak. Talk to me when you get stronger. Wait, stronger? How can I do that? Train. What else would you do? Idiotic bastard. Train. Find people you want to protect or destroy. And think about protecting or destroying that person. And you will accomplish your goal. These eyes will be yours. Is the figure would glare his red eyes at me. As I would then wake up in a hospital. As I'd say, oh shit, what happened? Where the hell am I? As everything would come rushing back to me. Oh yeah, that's right. Bakugo. As I would clutch my teeth. As I'd still be pretty pissed off that I was powerless to do absolutely nothing against him. There was nothing I could do. I was forced to lay there and be beaten. My father, he wasn't much help either. He only cared about looking after my mother, and he'd say that I caused too much stress on her. He was a dick. for no reason. He said because of me, I wouldn't be able to bring in any money to save my mother. He said it was my fault for being quirkless. He said that I was trash, garbage, and that if he could, he'd kill me himself. I would look up at my father, the father who had raised me for 15 years, the father who I loved and thought would always protect me. He actually hated me. He hated me with everything he had because I was quirkless. This world is all about power. This world is all about strength. But I'm going to change that. I will get stronger and see what that mysterious figure had to offer me. He said I could help my mother, or at least that's what he implied. As the nurse would come into my room and she'd say, "Oh, well, you're awake. Well, I've pretty much healed everything on you, including your mangled fingers. What happened?" As I would say, "Oh, it was nothing. I just got hit by a car." Hit by a car? Was it a hit and run? Because they fucked your shit up. No, no, it's cool. It's fine. I'll be fine. As I would get up and ask if I could leave, as she would say, yeah, I was actually coming in here to discharge you." As I'd say, "Well, okay then." As I put back on my bloody clothes and walk out, I would start my way home. As I would see Bakugo and his goons, they would be picking on some girl, but I wasn't in a state that I could help her in. So I would dart to an alleyway and take the back way home. Once I got there, I'd open the door and I'd see glass. It would be shattered. Our TV was gone. Everything was fucked up. I would walk into the room. My father, he would be tied up, his body beaten horribly. You could barely recognize him. I, I was horrified. My father was before me. Even though he hated me, I still loved him. He was on the ground, his body mutilated. Who, who could have done this? As I would then remember, oh, Mom. As I would rush to her room, I'd freeze. As I opened the door, I could hear bits of grunting and crying. There was a man with a mask on, raping my mother. And she was just sitting there, taking it. She wasn't fighting back. She wasn't doing a damn thing. All she could do was cry. All she could do was sit there and cry. 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 This world. This man. I'm gonna kill him. As I would quietly walk back downstairs with all of the rage in my heart. I promised that I swore I would kill this man. I would walk to my kitchen and grab a knife as I would slowly walk back upstairs, as I would creep into my mother's room, as she would see me, but she wouldn't let the man know. I could also tell that she was embarrassed, as I had never killed anybody before, but this man, he had to die for his sins. He had to pay for what he has done. He killed my father, and now raping my mother. I can't just let something like this slide. As before the man noticed, I had slit his throat, but I didn't stop there, as his body would fall off of my mother, my sickly mother, the mother that I loved so much. I'd continue to stab his body, repeatedly, over and over and over again, until finally I had enough, and I jammed the knife straight through his mouth, as it would pierce through the back of his head, as a bit of his brain would come spilling out. As I would sit there, laughing. what what is that? What, what's this? As I would begin to cough. Cough up blood. Uh, what's this? As I begin to have a horrible headache. My head was throbbing in pain. It felt like I would pass out, or worse, die. It was horrible. It was like somebody was bashing my head in with a sledgehammer. As my eyes, they would begin to hurt. As I would hear a voice in my head, as it would say, "You're ready. Go back. Go back before this happened. And stop it. Stop it." What are you talking about? My eyes. They're yours now. Go back. Think about before this happened. Think about before you got home. Think about while you were still at school. And then snap your fingers. As I would close my eyes. As I would think about me being at school. As I would then open back my eyes after I had snapped. And I was back at school. 12 p.m. Right on the dot. Right in the middle of math class. Dumbass teacher. As I'd hear the same voice say, "You need to leave. You have an hour." Nope, not even an hour. 45 minutes before they come and, well, do what they did. These eyes are eyes of destruction. Eyes of pure chaos. This is the eye of hell. Use it wisely. Wait, what do you mean? What can I do now? Your eyes can allow you to dismantle somebody, or pretty much anything. You can also repair them. You can cause minor cuts to their bodies that won't close. You can look at them and set them ablaze. You can fuck with, well, their reality a bit. And you could kill them. I really wouldn't know what to say. As I'd say, okay, I just need to focus on killing those bastards. As I would get up and walk out of class. My teacher, hey, excuse me. Where the hell do you think you're going? Yeah, nerd. Where do you think you're going? As Bakugo would look at me, as I would look at both of them and say, shut the hell up. As I would flash my eyes. Or would you like for me to kill you? As a shiver would be sent down both of their spleens. As I would then walk out. As I would run home. As my mom, or not my mom, my dad would say, what are you doing back here? You should be at school, you little loser. As I'd say, this little loser is about to save your life. You should be grateful. Now, unknown dude, how exactly am I supposed to use these powers? You just need to focus. Focus on your eyes and the person that you want to do the specific thing to. And then think about how you want to harm them. And it'll happen. Alright. As I wouldn't tell my father what was about to happen. Because, well, he's a dick. So I would wait the 45 minutes and 3 men would come swarming in. As they would come rushing in, and they would first tie my father up, as I had seen in, well, the past, or the future. That's kind of trippy. I'll just say the past. They would tie him up and begin to beat him. And after watching them beat the shit out of him for 5 minutes, I would step in. As I would look at one of the men, as I would think of him being cut all over his body. And that's what would happen. His stomach. It was the first thing to be cut. It was not a regular cut. No. It was a deep wound. As his guts would fall out. Then his body would be covered in cuts almost immediately after the one on his stomach. As the man would be leaking blood from literally everywhere. As he would look back and stare at me. As he would have a dazed look on his face. As I'd say, die. As I would set him ablaze. As the other 2 men, they would fall on their asses in shock. They weren't told about me having any kind of power. As I would look at them as well. As I wouldn't waste any time. I would decapitate the first man. And set his body ablaze. Nothing but ash was left. The third man, he would try to flick a knife at me. But my eyes made it look slow. So I would catch the knife. As I would walk up to the man and jam it in his arm. As he'd scream out in pain, "Ugh, you little bastard!" As I would punch the man. And continue to punch him. As he would lie there. As this would be the man that raped my mother. As I could feel rage coming upon me. As I would take the knife from the man's shoulder and begin driving it into his chest over and over again. Until I would look the man directly in his eye. As I would think of his eyelids being cut. As it would happen. The man would scream out in pain. He would be writhing there, writhing in pain. As he'd be rolling all over the ground, looking like a complete fool. As I would then cut off the man's hands. As I would grab him by the hair, cut out his tongue. As I would look him directly in his eyes and say, "Here, have a snack." As I'd shove both of his hands along with his tongue down his throat. As he would begin gagging and throwing up all over the place as I would look at the pitiful disgrace of a man in front of me. I'd say, okay, I think I've had enough fun. You can die now. As I would set the man ablaze. As I would untie my father and say, I told you I would save your life. I think I deserve a thank you. As my father would just sit there in shock. As I would walk to the phone and call the police. As they would show up along with a few pro heroes. One of them would be All Might. He'd say, where are the bodies? Or the villains. As I'd look at him and say, they're dead. Who killed them exactly? I did. I set them on fire. Well, I couldn't do it without torturing them first. So, well, I mean, if you want their remains, they're over there. As I would point to the ashes left on the ground. As All Might would look at me. As we would cut to All Might's perspective. What the hell is this kid? He said it so calmly, like it didn't faze him. This is how I would look after killing those men. As we now go back to All Might's perspective, this kid is something completely different. He has blood all over him. His eyes, they look dead. Can he even feel anything? As All Might would have a shiver go down his spine as I would look at him eye to eye. As he could see my cold red eyes glaring at him. Before I would turn my eyes off, as there would be a mysterious voice in my head. Kid, you did a lot more than I expected. Props. 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 Sir, these bastards got what they deserved. I don't want to be praised for that. I did what was right. Or at least what I think is right. Is I would then look at All Might and say, so, is there anything else that you need from me? No, kid. You're good to go. Alright then. Is I would look at my father as I'd say, Hiyashi, I'm going to sleep. As my father would say, alright. As I would climb up the stairs, as I would look at my mother, resting peacefully in her bed, looking as beautiful as ever. As I would be happy. For the first time in my life, I would feel happiness. I was just able to stop my father from being killed and my mother from being raped. That made me happy. Happy. Why couldn't I always feel like this? I would lie in my bed and start to fall asleep, eventually dozing off, as I would appear in my mindscape, or my mind, or a dream of sorts, as I would see a tall black-haired man with red eyes. He would be looking down at me, as he'd say, I guess you're my successor. Isn't that great? Now, it's time for your training to begin. Are you ready? As I would look the man eye to eye. Yes, I am. Teach me all that you know. Please. I want to get back at Bakugo. In fact, I want him dead, as my eyes would go dim. As I would look at the man with cold, dead eyes, as the man would smile. Kid, you're ready. But guys, I'm gonna be leaving it off here because I kind of need to go to sleep. And honestly, gotta have a little chat with y'all. Reason I haven't been posting lately is because I got into a little trouble at school. Yeah. Long story short, somebody got their ass beat, and my parents didn't really like that, so they took my phone. Then after like getting it back after like a day or two, well, I snuck it back a few times, but I had to keep you guys updated and posted and shit. After getting it back, I really wasn't feeling what else. I even contemplating quitting, but I mean, I can't. I'm not a hoe, bro. I'm not a hoe. I couldn't let y'all down. Y'all are the fucking goats, bro. And so, here I am now. Huh. Thinking about it. What the fuck should I name this? What if? That's a problem for another time. Well, I'll see you guys later. Bye.